السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة وكشف الغمة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في سبيل الله حق جهاده حتى أتى اليقين فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. My respected brothers and sisters, may Allah's peace, His guidance, His mercy, His protection and His forgiveness be with you and with all your loved ones, inshallah, in this life and the next stage of life and the day we will be taken out, inshallah, from our qabr as a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's oneness and receive our reward, inshallah, and His forgiveness, and then that His forgiveness turns into reward. Without Allah's forgiveness, not even somebody asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that, Ya Rasulullah, would you enter Jannah? Without Allah's mercy. They were asking. So Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, nobody would enter Jannah without receiving Allah's mercy and His forgiveness. So they asked, not even you, Ya Rasulullah. So he said, not even me. So Allah's mercy and His forgiveness it should be our constant practice to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on us and to forgive us, inshallah. Today's ayat we will be discussing, inshallah, from ayah number 193 to ayah number 195 today, inshallah. And before that, we will touch upon an ayah from Surah Al-Qamar, which is 54th Surah, ayah number 22nd, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, Ba'da a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَحَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. So in the meaning of in English translation in the English language, and we have certainly made the Quran easy to understand and remember. Easy to understand and remember. So is there anybody who will remember its lessons, its promises, its limits, its allowances and its prohibitions? Allah is asking us, فَحَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. Is there anyone who learns the lesson of Quran? You see, for simple example, that whatever we know of a very, very little of Quran, we stand up in prayer and you just decide to recite that and you start reciting. Because you have memorized it, you have understood it, and now it is very easy for you to recite it, to read it in any gathering, anywhere, including prayers. So if we come to Quran and if the book of guidance, so it is Quran, we must understand about it, my respected brothers and sisters, that it is not a book of magic, astaghfirullah. It is not a book which you can hang from your neck and now you are safe from anything, from everything. Nothing can hurt you. It is not a book of magic. It is not a decoration piece that we can put so many of them, in our houses, and we think that because I have Quran in my house, then nothing bad would happen to me. Sometime the bad is living in that house which has so many Qurans in it. Sometimes people memorize Quran and still do something wrong which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them not to do. And that is an indication that a person have memorized it but did not understand it. And of course, if he does not understand it, he is not going to follow it in his daily routine. Quran is not something which need to be recited at the time of marriage or time of death, or somebody is dying, in process of death, or somebody is giving birth and in pain, and somebody is sick or by the deathbed, or somebody is being buried or have been buried, and after the dirt is put upon him, then somebody stands there who take $150 from you and read something from Quran. It's not going to help the person who has just been buried until and unless He himself has tried to spend time on and heard Quran, understood Quran and followed Quran, and then received mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of his mercy and forgiveness, and then it will help him. We need to take Quran as a book of precautions and understanding. Because when you get a ticket while you are driving, you get a ticket because you violated something. That's why you got ticket. There is a written rule somewhere that don't do this. And without understanding those written rules, nobody will give you a driver's license. Our parents got married, and because of the result of that accident, we were born. And after that, it's free for all. Whether we follow it, we don't follow it, we are just Muslim because my father or my mom named me Najam, so now that's it. It's free for me. Jannah is free for me. This is a huge misunderstanding. No book can benefit, no knowledge will benefit anybody until a person reads that book, understands that book, and apply the lessons of that book on himself. You want to become a doctor and you start reading the books on carpentry. That's what the example is of ours. That we think we are doctors, but all these studies were book about woodwork and carpentry. Such a great doctor. And ayat billah, and may Allah have mercy on us. Today's ayat, as I mentioned, would be ayat number 193, 194 and 195 of Surah Al-Baqarah. And inshallah, first the recitation and then the translation and then the meaning of these three ayat of today. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقاتلوهم حتى لا تكون فتنة ويكون الدين لله فإن انتهوا فلا عدوان إلا على الظالمين الشهر الحرام بالشهر الحرام والحرمات قصاص فمن اعتدى عليكم فاعتدوا عليه بمثل ما اعتدى عليكم واتقوا الله إن الله مع المتقين وأنفقوا في سبيل الله ولا تلقوا بأيديكم إلى التهلكة وأحسنوا إن الله يحب المحسنين. صدق الله العظيم. The translation closer to the meaning in English of these ayat: keep on fighting them until the fitna, the persecution and the transgression by them is ended and the faith in Allah is restored. But if they cease fighting, if they stop fighting you, then there is no fight after that except against those who continue to fight. Fighting in the sacred month in response to the aggression committed against you can be in the sacred month. Ash-shahrul haramu bish-shahril harami wal hurumatu qisas. And for all the violation there is qisas, the equal retribution. So whoever transgresses against you, respond to him to the same extent as he has assaulted you. And refrain from the deliberate disobedience of Allah, and know that Allah is with those who follow His guidance. And spend in the cause of Allah, and do not throw yourself into harm's way, and do good. Truly Allah loves those who do good deeds. The tafsir of the first ayah, my respected brothers and sisters, the sole purpose, we need to understand very clearly that those who say that if you see somebody from another religion in front of you, then you should start fighting him, or you should force him to become a Muslim, or you should do things somehow to hurt him or to cause him some kind of damage. It is against Islam, my respected brothers and sisters. The sole purpose of a believer's fight is to eliminate fitna, eliminate the aggression, oppression and persecution, and to establish the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without prejudice. Without prejudice is established. And the word deen, we need to understand what is the word deen means. And we cannot, if somebody is fighting you, then you have to fight. But the fight should be only up to the extent of whatever assault he is doing. It's not that they stop fighting and we continue, or we create fighting because they are non-Muslims and we should go and attack them or burn their houses or their churches or their synagogues or their this and that, or Shia masjid or Sunni masjid. No, that is against Islam. You defend yourself. You don't fight. You don't kill people you don't go out and fight people. You don't blow up things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَلَا أُدْوَانَ إِلَّا عَلَى الظَّالِمِينَ. That the fight is only against those who are transgressing you, not against everybody. That somebody from some country did something wrong, like which is happening now. Islam does not like us. Islam hates us. Well, acts of few people of whatever should not make an entire religion of terrorism. Those who say that have absolutely no knowledge what Islam is. And if we does that to the Christianity or to Judaism, we should know the Christianity and Judaism are the religion of Allah before Islam. And they were a version of Islam. Islam is a version of them. These are all religions sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as people are remaining peaceful with you, you are going to behave peaceful with them. You are not going to violate their limits. The word deen, Tafseer Al-Qur'an says, it is defined as a total willing submission in obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are not on the deen if you say, no, I will follow this. That if you pick and choose, that I'll do this, but I'm not going to do this. You are not, you don't understand deen. To understand deen is to study, is to understand the legislations of Allah, and after that, Sunnat Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Deen is a system, Tafseer Al-Qurtubi continues, and it says deen is the system of life, a system of life that requires firm belief in Almighty Allah as the only deity worthy of worship without partners or helpers. That's the first requirement to be on deen. That there is no La ilaha illallah is the first requirement to be on the deen. And then the person commits himself. When we say that there is no deity worthy of worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in turn we are committing, we are signing a contract that I will continue to follow Allah's commands and in his obedience to the best of my capability. And Quran reminds us and tells us, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ, that refrain from disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the best of your capability. When you are told to fear Allah, that is, you don't have to fear Allah. You have to love Allah. You have to establish the connection with Allah, not run away from Allah. If fear makes you run away, makes you keep a distance between you and the thing which you are fearing from. You seek protection. You fear from shaitan. I fear from my own deliberate disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and repercussions of my actions. That's how I'm supposed to fear Allah. That how would Allah feel when I get caught? And it's not only when I get caught, I'm always under watch of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of what I am doing. I'm in nobody else's domain but Allah's domain. So it says that we make a promise to follow Allah's rules to the best of our capability. What is the difference between deen and fitna? Fitna is obedience. Fitna is defiance of obedience of Allah, and deen is the submission in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fitna and deen are 100% opposite of each other. Like a thread, there is one end on the right and the other end on the left. So the end on the right is the deen, and the other end of the rope, which is far away and which is only not on the right side, is fitna. So, and this is the difference which we don't understand between deen and fitna. And we say that we are in deen, but we persecute people, we oppress against people, sometimes our own families and our own brothers and sisters. Allah the Almighty through His prophets and messengers sent all divine religion. Nobody else sent a religion but Allah. And He chose people, His own chosen people, He chose people to give those guidance to Him and to them, and then told them to go and teach this. And those books are what? They are the scholar says that they are code of ethics and conducts. They are the laws of life, Quran and Sunnah. And in his books, to put an end, what Quran does and the books before Quran did, that they put an end to fitna and they establish peace in people's life. If any book is calling you towards fitna, that is not book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is something added by people. If any leader call you to stand up and go against a nation, a group of people, regardless of their religion or color of their skin and all that, that person is nobody but devil himself, shaitan, which we call in Arabic, shaitan, and he's the evil. That person is the evil, that's Satan. Establishing peace does not mean, establishing peace is our responsibility where we live. No matter which country you are living, establishing and practicing peace is the responsibility of a believer. Responsibility of a believer. And the part of that responsibility is not to force people to abandon their belief. Not to force people to give up their belief, whether it is atheism or polytheism or any other ism. Okay? It is not your responsibility. Laisa alayka hudahum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to give the guidance to them is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to give the message. And we give the guidance. If they make effort according to the guidance they receive through you, we will guide them. You will not be held responsible. You are not being sent over them as a guard. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ عَلَيْهِمْ حَفِيظًا. That I have not sent you over them as a guard. You would not be asked what they used to do. You will be asked about what you did. They will be asked about what they do. Not you. Allah the Almighty never ordered His prophets and messengers or told them to tell their followers to discriminately or indiscriminately kill anybody. Taking a human life, whether it's a Muslim or non-Muslim, an atheist or polytheist or whatever, it's a major sin. You can't do it. You cannot do it. People's account and accountability. A scholar says that people's account and accountability, if they have not committed any crime, is not given in your hands. It is in the hands, it's not even in the hand of a prophet or a messenger to punish somebody if they have not committed any crime. It is in the hands of Almighty Allah, and if they have committed a crime, then the local rules and laws will apply over it. The pagans, the polytheists, the atheists, and so forth are allowed to keep their belief if they are living in an Islamic country. You can't force anybody to convert to Islam. They will themselves, if they see a good Muslim, a good practical Muslim, they will come to the person and say, why are you so different? So what does that mean? The responsibility is not upon them, it's upon you to practice your religion so the people can see the difference and they get attracted towards it. Not to let the fitna begin. And before inviting all people to deen, Muslims are required first. This is the first requirement to having faith, to understand, establish and practice Quran on themselves. To understand and practice Quran by themselves, and then counsel and invite and display their good behavior and character, that people will see the benefit from it and they will come and they will ask you, why are you so different? Why did you do this? So the true believers are required not to force people to leave their religion and accept Islam. If somebody says that I'll do this for you if you leave your religion, you're not serving Islam. You are enemies. You're becoming an enemy of Islam. The fundamental reason among Muslims is that we say that we have the message of Allah, but we most often do not practice what the message tells us to practice. The religion frees people from the slavery of people and brings them to the servitude of Almighty Allah. There is no forced conversion in Islam, but persuasion through personal and practical example of beneficial laws, rules, true and good moral behavior and character is a better invitation than knocking somebody's door and say, come with us. This ayah mentioned the fight against the wrongdoers is only to be established when they start the fitna and they start the fight. It's not that we start the fight and now we say, okay, because they are coming to fight us, now we will continue to fight. No, you don't start the fight. You don't cause the fight. You don't cause the fitna. Your duty is to practice justice, peace and equality and don't fight. But if they fight you, fight them. Of course, the cessation of hostility, if the other party stop the hostility, stop the fitna and stop the fight, is to stop, it is your responsibility, religious responsibility, to immediately stop fight as soon as you see they stop fighting. Don't continue. If you win, this is the tafsir of this ayah in Tafseer Al-Qur'an, in Tafsir Ibn Jarir Al-Tabari and Suddi, that it says that if you win the true system of life, and the true system of life, which is deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is established, ordinary people, those who used to fight you, need to be forgiven. Need to be forgiven and granted a general amnesty. And we will come to it. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in time of Fath Makkah, the conquest of Makkah, only 4 people were told to be executed out of all the enemies of Islam. In the battle of Badr, all those people, those who were Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's army, won, though they were 1/3 in strength, but they won the war. And all these people, those who were prisoner of war, out of those prisoners of war, only 2 people were executed, and the rest of them were let go. They said, okay, you are free, go. Fight is stopped, and there is a criteria who is supposed to let go and who is supposed to be punished. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's uncle, the most heinous crime was done to Sayyidina Hamza radiallahu anhu, when his heart and his internal organs were taken out and chewed by the enemies of Islam of the time, enemies of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he forgave them. He forgave them that heinous act. So nobody would say that Muhammad committed retribution. Muhammad reacted because of his personal vendetta against these people, because they killed his uncle, so he killed them in return. But there were 2 people, those who did same heinous act with others, and he punished them, but he did not. He forgave those who punished against him, those who committed atrocities against him. Islam allows to punish those criminals who committed brutality and heinous acts against the weak people. If somebody is committing against the weak people means what? Weak people are people, those who cannot defend. If they cannot defend themselves, and there was zulm, transgression was committed against them, heinous crime, brutality is committed against them, then those people will be executed. Because they raise their hand on weak people who cannot defend themselves. Then it becomes the right and the duty of the government to establish the rule of law on them. Ibn Hisham, in his book Sirah, in volume 1, page 644, and volume 2, page 409, noted that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam punished 2 most notorious criminals who had exceeded all limits, even though he pardoned those who were who brutally murdered and mutilated the bodies of his close relatives. Thus, Uqba bin Ubay in Mu'at and Nadar bin Harith from the Battle of Badr were put to death, and after conquest of Makkah, a general amnesty was announced. General amnesty. Everybody was given aman, given protection, except 4 people, those who were very, very heinous criminals. And they brutalized the poor people and women and old and children. And they said, these 4 people need to be executed. The total casualty of the conquest of Makkah was 4 people. There were more casualty on the side of Muslims than the city they took. Only 4 people. Keeping on, now the next part of the ayah is وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ حَتَّى لَا تَكُونَ فِتْنَةٌ وَيَكُونَ الدِّينُ لِلَّهِ كُلَّهِ. Similar to ayah number 191 of last week, this is a command to fight if they fight you. Not start the fight. If you are if you are forced to fight, if you are attacked, then you are defending yourself and you are going to fight with full strength. But only up to the limit of atrocities. Only up to the limit of what has been done to you, you can do, to defend yourself. At the end of the fight, if Muslims win, the others don't have to accept Islam. Those people you are fighting, they are not under any obligation to accept Islam. They only have to put down their weapon. As long as they put down the weapons and stop the animosity, discrimination, hostility, and persecution, they are given protection in life, protection to life and property, in peace, to remain in their own religion. Nobody is forced. There is no forced conversion in Islam. In Surah Al-Baqarah, after Ayat Al-Kursi, the ayah comes, it says, "La ikraha fi din, qad tabayyana ar-rushdu min al-ghayy." That there is no compulsion in religion, but after, when the good and the bad has been clearly defined. Whoever chooses the path of good, it's his business. And congratulations to him that he chose the right path. And whoever chose the wrong path, it is his business. You can't force people to accept. You just have to show what is right, what's wrong. Please remember the covenant of peace which we discussed last week. Covenant of peace which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave this agreement, they gave this covenant to the monastery of Saint Catherine in Mount Sinai. And he signed it, and instead of putting his stamp with a ring, he put his whole hand as a stamp and then wrote his name next to it. Remember that contract. What is Mount Sinai, and what's the significance of that sanctuary of Saint Catherine? Saint Catherine sanctuary is made on the church is made on the same place where Musa alayhi salam received the Torah. The first revelation was received by Musa alayhi salam. That was the place where he saw the light. Inni anastu nara. That he told his family, his wife and his mother, that I have seen some fire up there on that hill, and I have to go and get some piece of burning wood so we can start fire and we can cook and benefit from it. That's where the St. Catherine's Monastery is established. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, Qatada, Sayyidina Al-Rabi' radiyallahu an, and As-Suddi rahmatullah alayhi said that the fitna in this ayah means that actions that injures those who believe, that causes injury to those who believe. The root word of fitna, it came from a very common word of Arabic language, where you take silver or gold and you heat it up, bring it to the boiling point, to the melting point, and the impurities of silver and gold come out, and the pure silver and gold is drained from it, and the bad things from it, impurities from it, are separated. That is, that to take out that, the testing and trial in that sense. That the next portion of the ayah is that, but if they stop their hostility and fight, then there is no fight except against those who continue to fight. The fighting is only with those who are fighting, not with a civilian, not with a non-combatant, not an old man, not a woman, not with a child, not with sick, not with poor or downtrodden, not somebody who has weapons in his hand. You can't fight them. You can't fight them. We call it in our language, today's language, we call it, well, these are, these are the effects of the war. These are, once we send a plane and bomb an area, and you get 2 terrorists and kill 200 others. They call it collateral damage. There is no concept of collateral damage in Islam. You don't punish, you don't fight except the one who is fighting. Otherwise, you are among those who are creating fitna. then it says if they stop their hostility, stop fighting, they peacefully continue in their religion. If the believer win, the non-believers have to pay the tax. And if they become Muslim, they learn and practice and continue with their life. Otherwise, they stay in their religion in a Muslim state, and the Muslim state is responsible to provide protection to their life and property for living in a Muslim country. If they continue to fight, do not cease. Do not stop until they stop all persecution. They should be fought back and resisted with the same force and not more. The limit is that if they, suppose somebody is throwing a 20-pound bomb, you don't go there and drop a 2,000-pound bunker buster because they threw a 20-pound bomb at you. So the response have to be equal to what they did, not more. These are rules of war in Islam. And we need to know this. The wrongdoers are those who initiate the fighting. If you are Muslim and you initiate the fighting, then you are the wrongdoer. You are the wrongdoer. And those who remain entrenched in disbelief, and they are causing fitna. The believers are told to refrain from creating a situation that initiates a reaction from somebody else. Furthermore, the fighting is against only those who fight. Only those who fight, and not all people of the same religion, same color, same creed, same country, or same ethnicity. It's not like Donald Trump said, well, Islam hates us. You don't even know Islam. You talk about Islam, Islam hates us. Islam is totally different than what the Muslim leaders themselves understand. The rule of engagement in fighting, which we discussed last week, must be adhered to, as established by the Prophet ﷺ and followed by the pious companions all their lives. In all fights, those rules were followed. And now the tafsir of next ayah, which is ayah number 194, and the part where it says, fighting in the sacred month in response to the aggression committed in a sacred month. And for all violation, there is equal retribution. There is qisas. Musnad Imam Ahmad rahmatullah alayhi recorded that Sayyidina Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu an, through chain of authentic narrators, said the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam would not engage in a warfare during the sacred months. What are sacred months? We are coming to it. Unless he was first attacked. Before it was when they were attacked, before this ayah came, my respected brothers and sisters, before this ayah came, Muslims they held back. They say we are being attacked on. The non-Muslims are attacking us, the pagans of Mecca are attacking us, and we can't fight because this is a sacred month. There are 4 sacred months, and we will talk about it. Those sacred months, they were told not to fight. Ash-shahrul haramu bish-shahril haram. So this ayah came that if the hostility is started, if they impose a fight upon you in a sacred month, then there is no problem if you respond to that and you fight back. Before that, they were not fighting, and they suffered a lot of damages. Prophet ﷺ would not engage in a warfare during the sacred month unless he was first attacked. Only then he would march forth full force. He would otherwise remain idle until the end of sacred month. Then this ayah was sent down. At the same time, when the Prophet ﷺ was camped at Hudaybiyah and was not allowed to enter Mecca to perform Umrah, he sent Sayyidina Uthman radiyallahu anhu to negotiate the terms of agreement that we are coming in here in peace just to perform Umrah and we will go back. So he sent Sayyidina Uthman radiyallahu anhu to negotiate the terms of a treaty, and they did not agree. And the news came that Sayyidina Uthman radiyallahu anhu is murdered. At that time, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was in Hudaybiyah, and there was a tree which is still there. You know, Hudaybiyah is a place before Makkah al-Mukarramah on Old Makkah Road, which we don't go there anymore. It's on Old Makkah Road. And there, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there was a tree. And Surah Fath, from the first 10 ayat, 49th surah, Surah Fath, 48 or 49th surah, 48th surah, from ayah number 1 to ayah number 10, talks about it that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam gathered all his companions under a tree. And he took an oath from them that Uthman has been murdered and we are going to revenge and we are going to go and fight. So then the news came in that Uthman radiallahu anh is not murdered, is not killed, he is still alive. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam immediately, as soon as he got the news, he confirmed it and abandoned the plans to fight, even though he has entered in an agreement with the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his own companions, that we will go and fight. He says, no, we are not going to fight. The reason was that we heard that Uthman is killed. Uthman is not killed and we are not going to fight. So it is not that you are ready, just go and kill. And he continued to negotiate the peace until they reached that agreement, which is called Sulh al-Hudaybiyah. Sulh al-Hudaybiyah. Another example of rule of engagement in war during the sacred month is that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is Tafseer Ibn Jarir al-Tabari said, was fighting with the tribe of Hawazin during the battle of Hunain. Battle of Hunain. And the Hawazin went and took refuge in city of Taif. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam's army, the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, laid a siege, put a siege around the city of Taif. Then the sacred month Dhul Qa'dah started, which is the 11th month. 11th month. Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, and Muharram are the three sacred months, and the fourth sacred month, they are called what? They are called Mawsam al-Hajj. Mawsam al-Hajj. There was huge economical benefits, benefits to the economy of that area from Hajj. So many pilgrims were coming from outside and things like that. And so they wanted people in those 3 months that without fear come and peacefully perform Hajj. You asked last week that we talk about Hajj a little bit, and alhamdulillah we are coming to that topic. That people will come to Hajj, perform Hajj in peace and tranquility, without any problems, without any fighting, without bloodshed, and they go back, and the worldly benefit will continue to come during the Mawsam al-Hajj. Then there is month of Rajab. Month of Rajab, which is the 7th month of lunar calendar, Arabic name, Rajab. 8th Shaban, and then 9th month is Ramadan. Dhul Qa'dah, 11th month, Dhul Hijjah, 12th month, and the first month of the year is Muharram. These three are Mawsam al-Hajj. They were the sacred, they are still. And this routine is from Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. From the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, these 4 months, the 4th month is the 7th month called Rajab, which is called the month of Umrah. And again it is associated with people coming from outside, so many people, even at that time, and were giving a lot of trade and exchange of currency and different things, and socio-economical benefit, economy benefit to the residents of Mecca, to that area. And that's why it was made 4 sacred months, month of Rajab being the month of Umrah. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when this month he was in the siege, they have put a siege around the city of Taif, encircled it so nobody can run and nobody can come out from outside, or nobody can come from inside, go out, and until they give up the fitna. The month of Dhul Qa'dah entered, and there was no fight going on at that time. They were in siege, but nobody was fighting. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stopped the siege of Taif, told his people to go back. And he came to the area which is called, is Hatim, the area which is Hudud al-Haram, where you must put the ihram, you must have the ihram. And coming from Taif, the place is called Jir'ana. It's a small area. Jir'ana it's a city now. And from that area, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam changed his clothes, put on ihram, and went to Makkah al-Mukarramah. And he performed, this was in Al-Qa'dah, and this was in 8th year of Hijrah. Ibn Abbas, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, Sayyidina Qatada, Mujahid, Miqasim, and radiyallahu anh, and As-Suddi rahmatullah alayhi said that the reason of revelation of this ayah is that as idolaters prevented the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from entering Makkah during Hudaybiyah, and then he entered in Sulh, and they went back and that was in year seventh year of Hijrah, and then he came on the 8th year, and he completed the rituals of Hajj. Al-Hasan related, Al-Hasan, who is Al-Hasan? Al-Hasan Hussein of Sayyidina Ali, radiyallahu anh, Sayyidina Imam Hassan, related that the idolaters said to the Prophet, have you ceased fighting in the sacred month, O Muhammad? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded, yes, I do. Stop in fighting. They wanted to fight, and then this ayah was revealed that if they will continue to fight, then now you are allowed to fight them. If they continue to fight, they are allowed to fight back. It's not to attack them. The next part of the ayah, we have about 21 minutes. The next part of ayah, it says that, so whosoever transgresses against you, respond to him in the same extent, same limit, same way as he has assaulted you. From the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, as I mentioned, that these 3 months were sacred and for Hajj, and then 7th month Rajab was the month of Umrah, so that was made sacred. During these 4 months, usually all hostilities, all fights used to stop. So the pagans at that time, they saw that they will stop fighting. They will not fight us if we fight. So they would start something. And Muslims were holding back. So at that time they were told, no, if you are attacked, you have to fight back. Because if they are fighting you in Shahr al-Haram, al-Shahr al-Harami, haramu bil-Shahr al-Harami, wal-Hurumatu qisas, that if they are fighting you in the sacred month, then you have to fight back in the sacred month. Because then they came back and they called something, thing they started doing, it's called Nasiya. Nasiya means that they would say that they by mistake have attacked or started fight during those months, and Muslim would not respond, and they suffer the losses, and the kuffar will come back and say, well, we made a mistake. So now instead of that month, we will make another month and it's as a sacred month, and we are not going to attack you in that month. To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided to allow them to fight back, so they will not play these games, and Muslims would not suffer loss because they were not in high numbers, and their casualties were growing. The Muslims were concerned about what to do in case of unbeliever resorted to those falsification and attacked them, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarified that. The idolaters, I think we talked about it, termed Nasiya. However, if atrocities and persecution and fitna and oppression and discrimination is done in the sacred month, Muslims were allowed to fight back or take an equal retribution, take a qisas for it. That you killed 2 of our people, this much blood money need to be paid. So they saw that there is a retribution, so they refrained from it, that either Muslims will fight or they will ask us for retribution. The principle of qisas, equal retribution is applied to all things when even to a bowl which is broken. There in a hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is in Sahih al-Bukhari, it says a bowl for a bowl. If a bowl is broken, then it will be replaced with another bowl by those who broke it. Or food for a food. If they destroy your food, then they have to provide the food. This is the equal retribution. And life for a life, the tooth for a tooth, which was also from the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. That was that's how it used to be dealt with. However, if your enemy, as a deterrent, it was said, this ayah was sent as a deterrent, that if someone transgresses you, you should transgress with equal force, not more. However, if your enemy disobeys Allah's orders and His acts, you are not allowed to counter it by your disobedience of Allah's act. If he does something wrong against Allah's acts, you are not going to go out and do the same thing which he did, defying Allah's orders, and you go and defying Allah's orders, so that become a qasas. That is not a qasas. That is a sin for a sin. That's not equal retribution. The last portion of the ayah clarifies that is one of the acts of taqwa. It is one of the acts of taqwa. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. That it is one of the acts of taqwa, which is to refrain from deliberate disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah loves those who refrain from His deliberate disobedience and follow His limits. The last ayah of today's lesson, inshallah, we still have 14 minutes. This is a very, very meaningful ayah of Qur'an. And it says, وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. That after having a total belief, the meaning of the ayah is, and spend in the cause of Allah, and do not throw yourself in harm's way. It has two meanings, and we are coming to it. And do good, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. After having a total belief in faith of being Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the only deity worthy of worship, there comes two important things after having the belief. Number one is refraining from deliberate disobedience of Allah. That you cannot say that because I believe on Allah with all my heart and all that, now I can, if I make a mistake, it's okay. It's okay, Allah will forgive me because from my heart I believe on Him. So it said, no, you have to refrain from deliberate disobedience of Allah. And number two is to spend in cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To spend in cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can see in the fourth chapter of Qur'an, not fourth chapter, fourth juz of Qur'an, where it says, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. That it is not a good deed, it is not giving in cause of Allah until you give what you like for yourself. You can't give what you don't want, and what you like, keep it to yourself. No, you have to give what you like for yourself. That's the concept of giving. And concept of giving does not involve that the person you are giving is from your own religion. It can be anybody who needs it. A hungry person is a hungry person. A person who needs clothes, don't worry about his religion. You do good for the sake of Allah. And don't that because that person is a Christian or a Jew or a pagan or he does not, I don't know what his religion is, that's why I'm looking for a Muslim to give. No, give whoever comes and you think and you know that he is deserving of that help, then you help. Because everybody is created in the image of Adam alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everybody. And a hungry person is a hungry person. And when the order came, وَانْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ means to spend in the cause of Allah, invites everyone to spend in the rightful causes for the sake of Almighty Allah. From money, spending is not about money only. If you have money, you spend money. Okay? Like Faisal. Okay, and you. So it's the rightful causes in the sake of Allah from money. Then the one who does not have money or have money and have knowledge, then he should give money and should spread knowledge. If he has time, then he should give time also. If he has expertise in something, then he should spend from his expertise. If he can physically make an effort, then he should make a physical effort, and so forth. And for the benefit of himself, his own benefit, in here and in the hereafter. It is also an order not to waste. This is the other meaning of the ayah. Is to giving in cause of Allah is one thing, right? In the right causes of Allah. The second is not to waste what Allah has given you. Not to waste what Allah has provided you in things that are of no benefit in this life or the next life. That a person does not give money out to anybody in the causes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The cause have to be genuine. Cause have to be right. Building masajid, and I don't want to say sorry or apologize to anybody. Building masajid when the community is suffering with hunger and loss of jobs, and there are a lot of people girls sitting without marriages. People have debt. People are sick, they are on disability, they are poor, they can't afford, and you build masjid or decorate masjid. Wallahi, don't do it. It's better to give it to the people, those who deserve, than building masajid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's masjid, if you decorate it or you build it, who are you doing a favor? But if you help people, it's much more important than that. A true believer keeps the interests and benefits. This is a sign of a believer, that he keeps the interest and benefits of others in the mind before offering his faculties, means whatever abilities he has, and his facilities which Allah has provided him in this life, and look forward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for good end in this life and the next life. Holding personal interest dear to our heart. If I have money, or if I have expertise, and if I have knowledge, and I do it for personal interest, sell my knowledge to somebody, lead somebody's janazah prayer and ask for money for it. If we do that, and if we have that benefit in our heart, it only ruins us. That's what it means. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَّا التَّهْلُكَةِ. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Two of the punishment of such actions. There are two punishment for those who do things for personal benefit. And that is, the two of the punishment of such actions are that Allah will make others dominate over you. Look at the entire Muslim world. Entire Muslim world. We are under the feet of people. Why? Because we have our personal interest. Our leaders have their personal interest and their power and their floating robes and this and that, and their yachts and their planes and their palaces, more important than what's happening to people under their rule. So number one is Allah make other people dominate over such people in this world, and then Allah will condemn those people on the day of judgment. Allah orders to spend in the cause of Allah, means fi sabilillah. What is the meaning of fi sabilillah? What are the meanings of fi sabilillah? If you ask people, they say, brother, if there is a green box, put $20 in that box. That's fi sabilillah. No. Fi sabilillah has totally different meaning. And here or somebody would come and say, pay for the jihad. Give it in the cause of jihad. Well, my question would be, who are you fighting? Who are you fighting? And who are you to fight if you don't understand the basic concepts of Islam, of the teachings of Islam? And who is giving orders to start that jihad? That is also, there are qualifications. Those who can call jihad. Yes, fighting in cause of Allah is a huge reward. It's a huge reward. I'm not trying to lessen the importance of jihad. But here is fi sabilillah. And fi sabilillah, the scholar says, is serving the parents and your wives and your husbands and your children. That is fi sabilillah. Allah put those people under you. Ibda biman ta'ul. That is, start from those who you are made responsible for. So a husband and a wife have to be good to each other. And they have to be good to the parents. And they have to be good to the children. And take care of their needs. Not siding with a transgressor relative or a political or religious leader. Somebody comes to you and says, we have made these idols. But in old days, they used to do idol worships inside Makkah. They have 100 idols inside Makkah. We have idols in every street in our countries. Peer, this faqir, that peer, this person, that person. We just going back to idol worshipping in name of Islam. So it says, those people, those who are transgressors, somebody who is a relative, and he is doing wrong to you, is stopping them in their limits, whether it is a husband or a wife or a child or mother or father or whoever. Stop them nicely, carefully, or stop following a leader that's fighting, that is spending in fi sabilillah. Speaking truth is fi sabilillah. Allah does not accept lies, He accepts truth. So don't tell lies. That is fi sabilillah. Fighting illiteracy, jihalat. You know, in Turkish it's called jihalat also. It's fighting illiteracy, poverty and hunger, providing water to those who don't have drinking water, taking care of orphans, widows, senior citizens, handicapped, homeless, paying rightful debts of those who are locked up in prisons because they owe somebody money and they are sitting in prison. If you have money, get that guy out. فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ أَوْ إِطْعَامٍ فِي يَوْمٍ ذِي مَسْغَبَةٍ يَتِيمًا ذَا مَتْرَبَةٍ. Quran specifically talks about these things. These are fi sabilillah. Paying the rightful debts of others and freeing their necks from punishment. Students is strengthening the entire society. Students, those who are striving to learn, help them in strengthening the entire society through new generation, following personally. You yourself personally follow the orders of Allah. That is working in fi sabilillah, not building masajid and put a chandelier or $20 in a green box. Inviting people to do good. You know, inviting people to do good and advising in a convincing manner to refrain from sins and wrongdoings, and by presenting your personal example of good behavior and character, so people will listen to you. We are not being, nobody wants to listen to these leaders because they know their behavior, they know their character, they know what they are in their private. And fighting in cause of Allah, jihad, fighting in cause of Allah. If you are attacked, yes, it's fighting in fi sabilillah. If you are attacked, not somebody is not fighting you, and you go and blow his house off because he's a Christian, a Jew, or a Muslim, or Shia, or Sunni, or this and that. That is not fighting in cause of Allah. Is speaking truth, is fighting your own nafs in cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. That those who have capacity, those who have capacity to pay, to give people money for the right cause. Not everybody who comes to your door, give him money. Not everybody who comes, tells you a story, you believe him and give him money. You know, it is to the right causes, is spending in these causes. If somebody who has money and there is a right cause and he does not spend in that cause, then he will be destroyed. And that's what Allah is warning. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. That don't be destroyed by your own acts. It be aydikum. Aydikum means by your own hand, from your own doings, or your own not doing anything and sitting on your wealth, you know, and guarding it and not giving it to people, those who deserve, you know, from the closest relative. Nobody is asking. Nobody is asking to give it to somebody, to your closest relative, those who deserve. Then there is a closer relative who takes your money and go and buys marijuana, whether it is legal or not legal. Don't give him nothing. Or he goes and gamble. Don't give him nothing. That is not, he is poor for a reason. He's stupid. You know, he need to start acting right, and then put whatever you help him, put that in the right cause. And it means we have 2-3 minutes left, and that brings him to tahluka. Al-Bukhari related from Sayyidina Hudayfa radiyallahu anh that this whole ayah was revealed about where to spend and where not to spend. Where to spend and where not to spend. As-Suddi and Al-Qurtubi and Tafseer al-Tabari and Shaykh Ismail Haqqi rahmatullah alayhi said that if people know that there are rightful causes, people know that there are rightful causes around them which they could help by any way, doesn't matter, money. You don't have money and you can't give money at that point, you have other commitments, do whatever else you can do other than money. You know, support them verbally, morally, be there physically, and cause, those are the people, those who don't do it, causing their own destruction with their own hands and putting themselves in the harm's way. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Don't put yourself by your own doing, your own hands, in harm's way. This is the meaning of this portion of the ayah. The scholars say that this ayah is an evidence that any habit, any addiction that can cause damage to a relationship or to physical being, your body, any habit which a person has, cigarette smoking, alcohol, any habit which a person have which can hurt his body or soul is against orders of Allah, is against this ayah. And Allah invites us to compete when He says wa ahsinu. Ahsinu means what? To compete in good deeds. There is no competition that somebody have a car and you want to get another, a car bigger, 2 inches bigger than him, bigger car, No, that is not competition. There is no competition in that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that compete in the excellence in religion. Compete in the excellence in religion. And He says, wa ahsinu, do better. Do better. And what is ihsan? Muhsin. Muhsin. You heard word, Quran talks about it. Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the muhsinin. What is muhsin? Muhsin is the one who is higher than this degree, is higher than mu'min, higher than Muslim. This is one of the highest degrees of iman, to compete in good deeds. Wa ahsinu inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. And all those involved in such work, all those people, those who are involved in this kind of work, whether with money, or with knowledge, with their time, with physical ability, they show their dedication, and they show their love, and they show their obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, Sayyidina Ikrama, Sayyidina Mujahid, these are all companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And they say that do not cast yourself into destruction. Wala tulqu bi aydikum ila tahluka refers not to spend in the way, holding your hand, and not to spend in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just because of fear of poverty. That what would happen if I give? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if you do infaq, there is nothing is taken from your mal if there is sadaqah in it. Nothing is reduced from your mind. The best of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abdullah ibn Abbas reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the best martyrs, the best of shuhada is Sayyidina Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib radiyallahu an, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's real uncle, Abdullah ibn Sayyidina Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. He is the best of the shaheed. And then a man who speaks truth in the presence of a tyrannical ruler, a zalim, a transgressor ruler, and the ruler kills him. If he kills him, then he gets the second degree of shaheed under Sayyidina Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib radiyallahu anhu. There are thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, innocent people being killed in all these Muslim countries. Those who call them Muslims, mashallah, tabarakallah. This is a joke, our leaders. And they kill hundreds of thousands of people just because they committed any crime. Their biggest crime was that they were against them. The money we spend on cigarettes, and mashallah, everything is, before there was a mail, then came email. There was a vapor cigarette, then there came hookah, Then from them, e-vap came. Vaps came. Okay? And hookah and buying and selling alcohol. You see, the money we spend, this is what وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. These are the things. Cigarettes, e-vaps, hookah, buying and selling alcohol, lavish lifestyle, brand name clothes, fashionable attires, and expensive makeups. To make yourself look good. Are we worried about to make ourselves look good in the eyes of Allah? Are we only worried about making ourselves look good in eyes of people? Look how stupid is it? Then it says, and the fancy car, buying these makeups and fancy cars, are even decorating and building masajid would not help anyone in the sight of Allah on the day of judgment, while there are millions of people in need of drinking water. In needs of drinking water. They are subjected to oppression by their own leaders. Those who collect funds, I must say this, those who collect funds and use the funds collected from people for their own personal luxuries, for them and their families, and buying cars and get huge salaries from the donation from the masajid or churches or synagogue, they are putting themselves in harm's way. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Don't put yourself in harm's way. If we keep giving someone to make a bigger center, which is used as a clubhouse for the elites of the community or the rich of the community, and poor are not even invited in their gatherings, and the control of one family and their cronies, while there are deserving people in the community, these people are inviting Allah's wrath. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. They are inviting tahluka. أقول قولي هذا واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. We will inshallah make dua, and those who are watching, of course, now we are in English language, but when we start the program, it is in Arabic, because this is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because it's the program of Quran program, because a lot of non-Muslim friends and families watch this program, and I want them to know that the program is in English. Its first few minutes, 2-3 minutes, which is in Arabic language. So أقول قولي هذا واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب جهنم وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا علينا حقوقا كثيرا فيما بيننا وبين خلقك، وعلينا حقوقا كثيرا فيما بيننا وبينك. اللهم ما كان لك منها فاغفره لنا، وما كان لخلقك فتحملوا أن وأغننا بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك عمن سواك يا واسع المغفرة. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. والفاتحة. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Thank you for joining us. Inshallah, next week, same place, same time. Inshallah, different topic. But we will continue. Wa iyaakum.